Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan. And at this point in time, it's hard to deny the abject fact that Disney is in dire straits right now, specifically the Marvel end of things as well. Even Marvel is doing bad at this current day. Disney is laying off up to 7,000 people. They've got a budget cut up the wazoo. Their Marvel movies are barely breaking even. And all the stands out there are like, oh my god, they're making so much money. It's $800 million. That's so amazing. These movies are so much more expensive. Everything costs more. The average ticket price is so much higher that it's substantially less people actually going to the theater, and the break-even point is so much higher that yes, these movies are arguably failures. Many of them are abject failures. Early on phase 4 movies especially can be classified as failures without a doubt. These later phase 4 ones, and now we're in phase 5, there's an argument to be had, but these movies, when they have that high of a budget, they are designed to cross $1 billion. Every single one that doesn't is a financial failure in the eyes of Disney, because you don't invest $250 million into a movie and just like, oh my god, we made $10. Isn't that so amazing? No, you only invest that much if you want a big return. And that is definitely not happening right now with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Even though it was marketed as the beginning of phase 5, it was the most important movie going forward. It's going to set up the Kang Dynasty. It's a must-see movie for the continuity of Marvel. But apparently, not a whole lot of people are going to see it, because we have the opening weekend numbers for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and this is including the 4-day weekend, which is kind of a neat trick that some movies do. They release it on a holiday weekend, and then they add in the Monday holiday numbers to make it look better, to make it look like it made more money that opening weekend. But even with that, it's not doing so well. Ant-Man and the Wasp is not doing well, and we'll get into the numbers for the immediate comparisons from late Phase 4 and the Ant-Man movies itself, and even with those comparisons, it's not doing well. Adding in inflation and average ticket prices increase, this movie is doing horrifically bad. So opening weekend, we've got up to $278 million worldwide. That's sad. And for a Marvel movie to make that much more money overseas is very uncommon. This isn't good for Marvel. And for the opening day, they got $17 million in Thursday night previews. That is embarrassing in their current day. And the opening weekend, the actual just 3-day weekend domestically, it got $106 million. $106 million opening weekend for a Marvel movie. That is embarrassing in the current day. This movie is failing. I'm excited to see what the percentage drop off for next week is, because if it's already starting out this low, maybe it'll be a lower percentage, but anything above 50% means this movie's dead in the water. Cocaine Bear might top it out on the box office next week. That is insane to think about, is a B-rated movie that's rated R might beat out a Marvel movie in just its second week of release. It's pretty insane. But comparison going on here, we've got Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which made a total of $854 million. Not great, not bad. It still had a massive budget, so it barely made any money overall, and it wasn't much better, but still enough to make this laughable. Opening night, the Thursday night previews, it got 28 million. That's 11 more than Ant-Man did. And this was already bad enough. Black Panther was already in dire straits when it came to its box office, and Ant-Man is substantially lower. And for their opening 3-day weekend, they got $181 million. That is $80 million roughly more than Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. This is the territory we're in. The beginning of a new phase, the beginning of a new era, marketed as the most important movie to ever go see. And yes, Ant-Man movies generally do poorer than their Marvel counterparts, but with the marketing with this movie saying that it was going to be the most important movie to see for the time being, more important to see than any of the Phase 4 movies, it's setting up the future, it's a must-see, and then you add on the marketing push from a numbers value, they spent a godless amount of money on a Super Bowl ad. The average Super Bowl ad is roughly $30 million. So that's going to add up quite a bit to the break-even point. Right now, the general math for this, for breaking even, is around $600 million, maybe a little bit shy of that. That is an insanely high break-even point, considering that it's got at least a $200 million budget, double that, and then the additional cost of the reshoots that we know about, as well as that Super Bowl ad. 600 million break even isn't that far off from reality. So if they're starting out this much lower than Black Panther, almost half of what Black Panther did opening weekend, then it might not make it. It might not make it to 600 million. I imagine it will, but there's definitely the possibility. Moving on, we got Thor Love and Thunder, who also got around 800 million, just shy of that, 760 million, which is really sad. really sad as well for Thor. And opening weekend, they got 144. Thor was considered one of the worst failures in later phase 4 as a whole, and it still beat out Ant-Man substantially in both Thursday night previews by well over 10, and then their opening weekend 40 million higher than Ant-Man. This is really, really pathetic. Now, adding in the comparison to the previous Ant-Man movies here, there is a little bit of a difference, but that's when the math comes in for the average ticket price change and the inflation change to see that about 40% less people went to see these. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, the original one, got 623 million. That's right about where this movie needs to be to break even, but it received roughly 75 million opening weekend and $11 million in Thursday night previews. Again, that seems a lot better than the previous ones, and that's what the Axis Media is running with is, oh my god, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, it has more opening night viewership, it has more Thursday night previews, it got a bigger opening box office than its predecessors. Well, yeah, but then you add in the marketing, you add in current day Marvel, you add in ticket prices, you add in inflation, and it's a very, very different story. And the budget for this movie was about half. So its breaking even point was about 300 million. So yeah, it made quite a bit of money. It made quite a bit of money percentage-wise. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania will barely break even if it achieves this threshold of its predecessor. Now, going back all the way to 2015 for the original Ant-Man, this one definitely didn't do as well. It got 518 million, but with a budget that was substantially lower than even Ant-Man and the Wasp, it made a lot of money as well. That's the biggest thing, is these budgets are too insane. They're too massive to carry these movies. And opening weekend, similar things, quite a bit less than Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is where I want to add in the average ticket price. So the average ticket price in 2015 was about $8.15. We can see that reported in several of these websites. They all kind of corroborate that at $8.15. Now we add in let's do Cinemark. Cinemark's average ticket price is between $12 and $13 nationwide. AMC between 14 and 18 nationwide. You can keep going down the line, and the average ticket price right now overall is $13. $13 versus $8. For the people who don't know math out there, that is a massive increase. We're looking at roughly, just like with Black Panther, an audience 40% lower than its predecessors did. If 40% less people are seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania than even its predecessors, which didn't do so well, that weren't big money winners, then Marvel is in dire straits. It is in a bad situation at this point. And I want to end off this video by just looking at the other big hitters for the box office this weekend. We got Avatar: The Way of Water still making a decent amount of money, beating in at the number 2 spot. Magic Mike's Last Dance, Puss in Boots. I haven't seen any of these movies. I have interest in Puss in Boots after hearing a lot of the positivity around it, but the rest of this I'm not really interested in. There's really not a whole lot of comparison. Nothing is really competing with Ant-Man. If anything really had come out recently, I do believe that it would not have even achieved that number 1 spot. By looking at that, it hasn't had any competition to come out in a while. Cocaine Bear might legitimately do better next week at the box office than Ant-Man does, at least domestically. That is going to be an insane loss for Disney, going to be an insane loss for superhero television, and I hope that this signals a change. But who knows? Disney is stubborn. They're going to be the last ones to the change party. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon.
Hey, yo, are you feeling what I'm doing up in here? Oh, I know you are. Do you miss all the good, compelling stories that we used to get back in Hollywood that they ain't putting down no more? Oh, I know you missing it. So check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues, baby. Book 1, Down in Flames. Book 2, Apocalypse Then. These are currently on sale. What are you waiting for? Get your hands on them. And we got Book 3, Kill the Dark, is coming down the pipeline. Just wait for all the good stuff that's dropping. You ain't gonna be disappointed, fam.